it's good to be back. It's good to be back. It's good to be back in a tailgate downtown. It's good to be back in a tailgate downtown.
Welcome to another edition of Tailgate TV. We want to thank you for tuning in. We are so excited about today's broadcast. A lot of interesting questions we've got. I can't wait to hear the answers from these great guests, and we appreciate the guests being on with us today. I'm Brad Davis, along with Cody Morris.
Yeah, I'm stoked. So on today's show here in just a few moments, you're going to see Magal Chol-Case, who is a graduate now of Rich Hill, did some great things there, and now he's going to play basketball in college. Not only do we have Magal coming on the show, but we have Magal's college coach, future coach and athletic director from Ozark Christian College, going to come on the show and talk to us a little bit about Magal. So that's going to be fun to have both of them.
Yeah, I'm excited to have Coach Lahm on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have Brendin Patrick, who is a accomplished athlete. We'll just leave it at that for now because we're going to get into it later. But he is an accomplished and decorated athlete from Butler. Graduated this past year, and he's going to come on and just share some stories with us. And I think that kid has some stories.
I would think so.
I'm excited to hear what he has. And we also want to, of course, this is the part of the show where we like to take some time to thank everybody who makes these guests possible, because we can't do what we do without help.
Absolutely.
And so thanks to everybody that helps us. Mid-America has been there with us for a long time. Sonic was one of our very first sponsors, and they hook us up with drinks all the time. And I just want to tell you, if you're watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, it sounds so much better with the Sonic drink. It just does. The Butler Chamber of Commerce has recently come on to help us. So we want to thank them. We also want to tell you to go to their car show coming up July 22nd on the Butler Square with live music and food trucks. So check that out. 03 Customs. We've worked with them from the very beginning. They started making our hats for us when we first had this idea for the podcast. And here the last month or two, they've come on as a sponsor as well. So we like to thank them for everything they do. CNS Graphics continues to help support us, and Emmanuel Baptist Church. So we'd like to thank all of those sponsors who help make this possible. I also want to tell you, if you're interested in being one, let us know.
Absolutely, and we do appreciate our sponsors so much. Enjoy those companies. Well, on the side, away from business, we've used every one of those people, but we appreciate them stepping up and helping us here on Tailgate TV.
Well, and that's the thing I was going to say. We're really blessed to be able to have sponsors that we enjoy. I mean, none of this is. It's all advertising, but none of it is us just doing a product read off. These are all people that we enjoy working with, and we've selected them because we enjoy them. I also want to say, as we previewed the show a minute ago, I'm going to back up. One of the things that I'm the most excited about this episode is the tailgate picks that we're going to have coming up. And that is, of course, at the end of the show. But we are going to be picking a possibly controversial, and controversial as in me and Brad may disagree, which never happens. But I'm excited about that, too. So if you make it through the whole show, you're going to have possibly a pretty fun tailgate picks at the end of it.
I'm excited about that. There's, again, we try not to be too controversial as far as what we're talking about. It's all in good fun, but it's also a little bit of fun to see the differences of opinion in things. So that's a good time. But anyway, we do, and we appreciate you watching this episode of Tailgate TV.
Welcome back to Tailgate TV, where we have a great guest. Who do we have here with us, Brad?
Brendin Patrick. Just a little bit, just a small portion of his resume.
Yeah, we'd be here all day if we read the whole thing.
Really would. I was like, my goodness.
And just his wrestling resume, too.
Well,
not to mention his other sports.
Exactly right. So, the most successful wrestler in Butler history by far, 2-time district wrestler of the year, 3-time academic All-State, 4-time conference champion, 3-time, and if you get tired of me saying this, I'm going to continue, 3-time district champion.
There's a fast forward button somewhere.
3-time state finalist, Two-time state champion, most career wins with 170. I can't imagine wrestling 170 times, let alone winning. Most pins with 127. His overall career record, 174.
And if I remember right, all of those 4 losses were freshman and sophomore year, correct?
Yeah, and all of them were two-time state champs. And
Oh, wow.
2 of them are Division I wrestlers.
Oh wow! did not realize that. So they were. Whew, that's impressive.
It is impressive.
All of them wrestled in college and were successful in college.
Okay, so you didn't lose to any slums.
No.
Okay.
He didn't have a bad night.
No.
But Ed, how much fun, doing your football games, doing your wrestling and things like that. Not that I got to do many wrestling meets, but great fun to watch you on the field, just doing what really God has blessed you with athleticism and all the things and the heart. We'll get on to those things in a minute. But we saw you as a senior. We saw you as a junior, sophomore, as a freshman. We're going to go back a little bit. When did you get started in wrestling and football? Like, where did that all begin for you?
Okay, so my family hasn't been a wrestling family. Like, we never wrestled or anything. So my older cousin Colton Hobbs wrestled.
Yep.
And my dad found interest in it, and he was like, we need to get you into that. So I started wrestling. I couldn't wrestle at 4, so I started wrestling when I was 4, turning 5. And so I've been wrestling ever since, and we just loved it. And we knew it would make me a better athlete, and it would turn out to be one of the best things that's happened to me.
I'm not so sure that you weren't the best thing that ever happened to wrestling,
Yeah.
especially around here, right? So,
Yeah,
And I think now,
one of the
like,
best investments. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, sure.
Investments that we've made.
yeah, well, and as you know, you said, not just that it was good for you, but you've been so good for wrestling. Like, looking now at some of the wrestlers that are coming up through Butler, and we had Anna Lee Gardner on a little bit ago, and we talked to her a little bit about how I think her success in pole vaulting kind of sparked some younger kids that are now getting into it. But I think the same thing, like with you, now there's a group full of younger wrestlers in Butler, and I think a lot of that is attributed to what you've done. And also, I mean, I think there was another senior or two with you that were pretty good wrestlers. I mean, there was a pretty good class of you guys, was there not?
So yeah, there was Michaela and Josie. Josie was kind of struggled earlier on in her career, but she stuck with it, and that's all that matters in wrestling. Wrestling takes time. If you're not natural at it, it takes a lot of time to learn and understand everything. Michaela was more on the natural side of it, and she found success, and she had some road blockage in the way, but ultimately she succeeded in wrestling very well.
and Rodriguez coming up, he's just a junior this year. He's, had great success. And then the long young man that was a freshman this year, right?
Freshman class is going to be really good.
Okay. And again, a lot of that's, when there's a champion in your locker room,
Yeah.
right,
It raises the intensity.
absolutely raises that more.
With any sport. I mean, you've seen that with our football program as of late. When you guys start having success, other kids, I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of a winning culture.
Lead by example, follow by example.
Absolutely.
Great words. Absolutely.
So we talked about how you started in wrestling, but what about it? You talk about how fun it was, but what about it just really popped out to you? What made you think this is something I want to do? This is fun.
So, I liked competing. I'm very competitive. I hate losing. As you guys could probably tell, I just hate losing, and it just made me a better athlete around. I had a really big passion for football. I love football, and I knew wrestling would make me a better person and better at football and everything. And just the people, the friends, coaches, mentors I've made from wrestling, it's priceless. Like, I can't really put any amount on that. It's awesome. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a love-hate relationship with wrestling. My family knows at times I didn't enjoy it, which that comes with everything. I hated it, and at the end of the day, it's probably the best thing that's probably ever happened to me. So,
My son, who wrestled, hated it around Thanksgiving and Christmas because you couldn't eat, right? He was always trying to keep his weight down to a certain.
First Thanksgiving, I'll be able to actually eat more than one plate.
Count the days until November.
That's right. That's the best part.
And you said something, and I think we've pointed out with other athletes that we've had on the show, and I think it's key to note. every successful athlete that we have in mentions how much they hate losing.
Yes.
I think but behind any good athlete, there's that drive of, I'm going to do whatever it takes to not lose again. When you have that one loss, that second loss, and you're like, I don't like the way this feels.
Yeah.
And then it just drives you and motivates you. And I think it shows, like with you, you had those 4 losses your first 2 years and then didn't have another one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just
It was 2-2, 2 freshman year, 2 sophomore year.
Yeah. And then just said, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
And didn't.
So the strengths that you feel like, and again, we're talking a lot about wrestling, but obviously football, big part of that. Mm-hmm. What do you feel like the strengths that you have personally that have helped you in your athletic side?
Definitely competitive, as we were talking about, and obviously God gifted me with some amazing hips. My hips are awesome, and I just have great reaction time, and I feel like my body is just low to the center. I have really good balance and everything, and in wrestling especially, my hips were awesome, and my balance and everything was great, and it's just naturally. That's all I gotta say is thank you to God for everything He's given me.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think especially in the position you played, you mentioned wrestling and football, that balance and the way that I've been able to see you bounce out of holes and, keep your balance, stay on your feet and come out of places when everybody thinks a play's dead.
Yeah.
And here Brendin is popping out of the pile, running for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's, being able to, keep your balance and your strength to not end up on the ground. And I think that's benefited you, in multiple sports.
I always think ahead. I always think if this happens, then what happens here, and my mind is just constantly thinking about things that can happen and results and outcomes.
And I think that's among other reasons. One reason I was never big into wrestling is because my mind doesn't always think that far ahead. And I think wrestling is one of those sports, from what I've come to know, that you have to be thinking ahead. Mm-hmm. You have to be thinking, if he does this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to counter it this way.
And most of the things in wrestling is just natural. In high school, I wrestled all throughout youth, and that's just practice. That's practicing for high school. And high school, a lot of it, I didn't really have to think. A lot of it, I did moves that I wasn't even taught. It was just all natural stuff that I did that I didn't even know that I could do.
So where'd you learn that? I don't know. It just happened.
Exactly. I've had conversations with coaches and my parents, and where did you learn to do that? I'm I don't know. I just did it. And there was one tournament, I saw something on YouTube or something, a move, and my coaches and parents were I've never seen you do that before. I was I just saw it last night, and I just did it.
So little good cop, bad cop here. He's going to ask you about your strengths. What do you feel is your weakness? And maybe not necessarily a weakness, but maybe something that you've had to work harder at, or something that maybe has come natural to other people that you've had to put more work into.
So my biggest weakness is probably my strength. So in wrestling, I always wrestled people that were stronger than me, and I always had to beat them with technique, speed, and my athleticism. And another big weakness is my mental state before matches. I always doubted myself. I didn't think I was as good as I was. And freshman year, I was going into freshman year of high school, and my goal was to qualify for state because I didn't know what was going to happen. And I knew I was good. I didn't know what kind of good I was. And I surprised myself. Throughout high school. So in football, freshman year kind of hurt my ego a little bit because I thought I was good at football. And I didn't get as much playing time as I thought I would be. And then Webb came in, and he made me know football. He is a really good coach.
Absolutely.
He definitely brought my potential out, and it made me find success that I thought I would never find. Because I did not think I was going to be first team all-state running back junior and senior year.
Yeah, and deservingly so.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I think it was your junior year, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. You probably know better than me, but I think it was your junior year. There for a while, you led the state in yards. I think you ended up second in the state.
2,400, 2,500 in that area. Yeah, and max preps, it's not all accurate, but I think I led. I was definitely top 5 on max preps in the nation.
I think you were 2 when we checked. Oh, in the nation. Okay, wow.
For, yards per game. It
Wow.
was like 600.
Well, yeah, because
Not
that was
600. It was like 240 something. 240 something.
that was one thing I was looking, because we were kind of looking at Max Preps, looking over some information, and it had showed that you were second in the state, and that I think compared to the guy first who had played like 15 games, 'cause I
Yeah,
think they had made a deep
lot,
run,
a
and I think
lot.
you had played about 9 or 10 games that year because you had missed a few.
A lot of
And-
people that were ahead of me played a lot more games than I
Yeah, yeah. So that's
Amazing.
impressive. So back to wrestling in high school. Your last 2 years you had great success. In your first 2 years you had some success too. One thing I don't know that people realize is how'd you finish those 2 years?
My freshman
As
and
far as
sophomore year.
as far as you went to state in those,
Uh-huh.
correct?
So, I'm going to tell you guys a little story about freshman year.
Okay.
So freshman year, I was undefeated all the way till the district championship.
Okay.
I didn't know what to expect freshman year. I was pinning everyone. I broke a pin record. I was surprising myself. I was like, I didn't know I could do this. I was wrestling a pretty competitive weight division, 126. And I was wrestling, and my district championship match, I got the 1 seed over a state finalist. And I ended up meeting him in the finals, and I was so nervous for the match. I worked myself up because he only lost 1 match that year. And the way that I got the first seed, I pinned a kid that he majored or something. So going into that match, I was nervous, you wouldn't even imagine. I was shaking, I was a little freshman wrestling like a junior in high school,
Right.
a man versus a kid. And go in the match, we're wrestling, I get the first takedown on him, I'm winning, and then no energy. All my adrenaline dumped out the door, and then we get in a little scramble, and he gets 2, some back points, and I couldn't do anything. I got a couple points. It ended up being like 7-4. I lost, and going into state that following week, I trained my butt off because I was like, there's no way I should be gassing, and
Right.
a couple years later, I figured out that I had an adrenaline dump, and I worked myself up before the match. And then quarterfinals at state, I wrestled a 2-time state champ, and he ended up no points first period, and then he got like a reversal, I think, and he rode me out, so it was like a 2-0 match, and I went to the backside. And at the hotel later that night, I was really mad at myself because I lost 2 matches and 2 tournaments. I was mad, and I ran like 2 miles. And I go back on the backside, tech fall everyone to the bubbles, and then there's a senior that was a decent wrestler, and I beat him like 12-3, and I made him cry after the match. And then
That's awesome.
3rd place match, 6-0, beat him, and then sophomore year. I'll tell you another story. This wasn't postseason or anything. This is my only regular season loss. That wasn't postseason loss. So I only had 1 regular season loss. It was St. Michael's. We didn't go to the battle that year because of COVID, so we went to like a bigger tournament with bigger schools. And I was supposed to wrestle this kid from Fulton, 2-timer, and he was really good. Committed to Mizzou. And we go in the match. Might I add, both of us got bloody nose. It was a dogfight, and it was 0-0, 3rd period, 15 seconds left. I was riding him. My forearms were shot. We were both sweaty. I couldn't grab anything, so I throw in legs. I never ride legs. I don't do any of that. And he ended up shaking me off and reversing me with like 10 seconds left in the match, and lost that. And it was just probably one of the best matches I've wrestled in high school. Even though I lost, it was a good learning curve, and it was good competition. So, and then I went on and won all the way to the state championship. I wrestled another 2-timer, which was my last loss in high school. Big dude.
And it was 2.5, 3 years ago.
And that dude was jacked. Like, I was a slim, 38. People thought I was 132, but I was 138, and this dude was jacked, juiced up. I don't know if he was or not, but he was a senior. He had 1 loss, I think. And going into the match, I got the first takedown like always, and we get to scrambling. He gets a cradle in reverse, and 5-point move. and then I think I get a reversal or something. It's 2. I get another 2, and he does the same exact thing. 10-4, I lose, and it was just demoralizing. I was like, I can't beat these 2-time state champs, and then me think I'm like, I got these next 2 years. I'm going to be a 2-time.
I say, then you become one.
Yeah, so that's a little story time.
That's all right. I think it's funny that you knew those 4 losses so detailed, right? Because they stick out, right? It's those things. I bet I can say, when you wrestled that young man at whatever, and you pinned him, blah blah blah, you were like, man, okay, sure. But the losses stick with you, don't they? Yeah, absolutely.
They run constantly in my mind. I
Sure.
think about what I could have done.
Absolutely. That's how you get better.
Literally, losses are learning experiences.
Absolutely.
I don't like to call a loss. They're how you learn.
That's right.
If you don't lose, you don't learn.
It's exactly right. It's exactly right. So your junior year, what a crazy year that was. I mean, just amazing watching you out there. Not only did you run for, what did we say, 2,400 yards
32 touchdowns
in football, and then you go straight into wrestling, which, most people know this, but football leads straight in, and you had a long year.
You had a deep playoff run that year.
I think,
and then you go into wrestling, which there's no break.
I think I had so I was coming in weighing like 150, I wrestled 152, so I was like 165 junior year, and I had to get down to 152 before the first meet, and it was like, I'm wanting to say a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Probably.
And so I do that, and then I make weight for that, and it was just a quick turnaround. It was crazy, and
and that can sap your strength and your endurance.
And I ended up wrestling that match. I remember this too. I wrestled this kid from Oak Grove. He was a decent wrestler. I was mad at myself because I beat him 12-0. And I was wanting to tech fall him or pin him, and I was mad. And then he ended up going to state and doing really good at class 2. I'm like, I honestly didn't know he was that good, and I kind of demoralized myself a little bit because I didn't get what I wanted out of the match.
Right.
So.
And that's a 12-0 win, and that's not what I wanted. I mean, that just...
Well, I know Grove has a great wrestling program. They are super good up there. They do a great job. But, so, we talked about your junior, how impressive that was. Then you go into your senior year. Again, great year in football, doing so many things well. You go into wrestling. Everybody, and again, expectations are high because of what you did your junior year. You get to the state final, and I don't want to diminish what you did all year. Super year, undefeated. You get up there, you're going in, and I believe, if I remember the story correctly, and again, I wasn't there, but you're going into the championship match, and you have an injury. What was that like for you in your head?
Okay. So I'm gonna kind of reverse a little
bit. You bet.
Hit the rewind button.
Okay. So I had another thought about another story.
Okay. Go ahead.
So senior year, in football, postseason, we played Windsor. And I was trying to squeeze. I was on defense. I was trying to squeeze through these 2 blockers, and one hit me in the shoulder, like right here.
Okay.
And I felt like my collarbone popped.
Gotcha.
And I blew it off like nothing. And then we get to wrestling, and I start wrestling a little bit. I'm like, man, my shoulder is just like killing me. Like, it hurts so bad. We got checked out, had bone bruising and everything.
Okay.
And then we thought it would blow over, and I start wrestling with it more, and it just wouldn't stop. I was like, this has to be like ligament or something. And we ended up getting MRI on it and everything, and I had like a tear in my labrum, a little tear in my labrum, and I ended up wrestling at the battle. I ended up wrestling the kid I wrestled in my state championship match at the battles finals. And moral of the story, I wrestled that kid both times injured with the shoulder the first time. And we ended up going into overtime. That was a nail-biting match at the battle. It was crazy. And then at the state championship semifinals, I wrestled this really good kid from Ursuline. He's beat everyone. That actually, I'm gonna rewind again.
Okay.
So that district, there was 3 kids that could have won state in another district.
Wow.
Second, that could have got second. And the number 2 ranked kid in the state ended up getting 3rd at districts because he was beating another kid, and it kind of got upset by another kid. It's kind of confusing, but he ended up getting 3rd, and Mercer kid got 2nd. Trenton kid got 1st.
Okay.
And that Gallington kid, the kid who was ranked number 2nd, beat the Trenton kid all year, the one that I wrestled my state finals match.
Is that right?
And then we get the state brackets out, and the Gallington kid, I have 2nd match.
Okay.
Yeah, so
early.
I have the 2nd ranked kid in the state 2nd match, and I was just like, both years I had to work for my state championship because my first match, I wrestled the kid that got 3rd.
Okay.
So I wrestled my junior year. I wrestled everyone in the bracket that placed.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
My senior year, first match at state, I wrestled. He wasn't all that, but I kind of got a break from state on that one.
Right.
And then second match was a real good opponent. He was really good, athletic. He was kind of like me, athletic. Really good hips, strong. He was probably stronger than I was, but he was a good competitor. And I go in there, I'm nervous as all get out. I'm like, this is gonna be like the state championship.
Right.
I gotta put my head on. And he was talking crap. I heard other people talking to me about how he said he was gonna beat me and everything.
Bad decision.
There, I beat him 11-0.
Awesome.
And then semifinals.
Ranking means nothing.
Semifinals. I get to another good opponent, Merceline kid. Merceline has a really good program.
Mm-hmm. We do.
He's really good. I wrestle him. We're getting to scramble, and he like kind of fakes a shot. I sprawl, and then he snaps me, and I try to catch myself. And my hand over rotated, and my thumb went straight into the mat. And I look at it for a split second. He comes at me. I throw him out of bounds. I look at my thumb. It's like this way. Like this is my thumb.
Awesome.
It's like that way.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not right.
Right.
It's
not supposed to be that way.
out of place.
Right.
And the trainer comes over. They kind of put it into place. I was trying to keep my cool.
Sure.
No
They
emotions.
got to put it in place.
No emotions. They put it. It didn't pop back in place.
Okay.
They just, like kind of put it in place.
Mm-hmm.
And no emotions. You gotta fake it till you make it. Never tell your opponent
That's right.
how you're feeling. So they'll break first before you break. And then we get to wrestling. They're like, you need it wrapped. I'm like, no, I'm not hurt. No, I don't need it. And then adrenaline carried me through that. And then we get to wrestling, and then I get a cradle on him, get a 2. And then I'm beating him like 11-0, I think. I wanted to say 10-0. And then I get like a he tripods. So I get a Merkle on him. I get like, it's a move. I hit it quick, and he hurt his elbow. And it would have been a 3-point move, easy. Like I would have gotten 3 points out of that. So I would have scored more points. It was like 10-1, and I would have gotten it would have been like 13-1. But he kind of injured. Like he said, he tore something in there. And then it was into the match. I was on top, and I hear a whistle from another match, and I stopped wrestling. And he reversed me. I'm like, what's going on? We're done, right? And then I look at him, and I'm like, oh, we're still wrestling. So I get over and roll over, and the match was over. So I ended up beating him like 10-3. And then
it's hard in some of those arenas where there's match really close.
Yeah,
bet.
I thought the match was over because I look at the time. It was short time, and I guess not. So we get to Chick-fil-A. We had like a long break. I have pictures on my phone of my hand just being a balloon. I'm like,
We will put those up on the screen for you to look at.
It's not that broken.
I got you right. Yeah,
And
it's not that bad.
I try to play it off because it's my last match. I'm not hurt. And then I get to Chick-fil-A with my family. We're eating, and I go to pick up my cup, and I almost dropped it because literally sharp pain right through my body. I'm like, Dad, I don't know if this is gonna be as good as I thought. And in my semifinals match, I go to pull my knee pad because I thought it was fine. I pull out my knee pad and sharp pain. I'm like, oh. And we get back to the arena because we're like, we probably should put ice on it after. We kept ice on it. Go back to the arena. They wrap it up, and we get it wrapped up. I can't like grab anything. I'm trying to warm up for it. I have a good friend from Centralia. He kind of warmed up with me around my same weight. He won state last year, and he was trying to repeat, but he got pinned in the state finals, semifinals, and he kind of helped me get warmed up. So did Coach Bice, and we get into the match, and I can't every time I use my thumb, I would feel it grinding together and popping and all of it, and excuse me, and I couldn't really do anything. This was just there. I had to just club, and I couldn't really do anything. It was just there, and I wrestled very conservative. In my head, I knew I could beat that kid. I was coming in all confidence because the last two kids I just beat pretty good can beat him more than one time. And I was like, I can beat this kid. I was 100% confident going into the match. And
even one-handed.
Yeah. And I was like, I know I can beat him with my broken. I was talking to friends. I was like, I know I can beat him with a broken thumb, but I could 1,000% beat him fully healthy.
Right.
And I was just wrestling conservative. I was in my own head and ended up beating him down to the wire. He threw me. I knew what he was doing when he threw me. I was like, he's going to throw me. Don't throw me. Don't throw me. Oh, I got thrown, and I started scrambling. And I get behind him, look at the clock. It ran down. That's the most clutch thing I've ever done in my life. I was so happy. And it was.
And you're right-handed.
Yeah.
So on your more dominant hand,
Yes.
that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
So how's the thumb now?
So, as you can see, I don't got this joint, doesn't want to move. I got physical therapy tomorrow. I'm supposed to be wearing a splint to kind of stretch it out.
Right.
I've had 2 surgeries.
Okay.
I might have to go to my orthopedic doctor next week. We don't know yet, probably.
Okay.
Hopefully no more surgeries.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Absolutely.
So what ended up happening to it, I had, I think it's a UCL.
Okay.
Ligament right there. It keeps your thumb from going that.
Mhm.
And it helps you pull stuff in when you pinch things. That was torn.
Okay.
And then my joint had 2 breaks on each side of it.
Oh, okay.
And they had to go in, take all the bone fragments out, put pins, everything in there, rotate it. It was also rotated.
Oh,
Bad.
okay, so twisted.
It was all sorts of broken. It was everything.
Jacked up.
Yeah.
And I guess as you're wearing your Pitt State shirt, that's where you're going.
Yeah.
I guess you were just trying to be more like the gorillas. You know,
Yeah.
you were trying to get rid of the thumb.
Yeah.
No opposable thumbs if you're out there. I didn't know that. Is that like an initiation thing? If you go to Pitt State, you got to break a thumb.
Maybe.
So, a lot of folks around have been kind of in talking and surprised a little bit that you weren't going to go on. Now, maybe after hearing that story, they go, "Oh, that makes a lot more sense now, right?"
Yeah.
But obviously, being so successful in high school with wrestling and football, but kind of surprised you weren't going to go and wrestle in college. What kind of determined that, and then what's your plan?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys personally how I felt throughout sports and everything. So I know I could have definitely went a big D2, pretty good school for wrestling. I know that.
Well, I think you probably could have went wherever you wanted to for wrestling.
Yeah. So sophomore year, I loved wrestling. Sophomore year, it was kind of a down year for me because I cut a lot of weight. I was 10 pounds over almost every week. It was just draining for me, and that was the year I just hated it. I just wanted no part of wrestling. I just didn't want to do it. And then that kind of carried on to junior year, and then my whole motivation was to win state. And I got that. Senior year, didn't want to wrestle at all. I just was like,
really?
I hate this sport. I had so much hatred towards it, and I just wanted it to be over. And then I really, I could have wrestled in college, but all along I didn't want to. I knew so wrestling year, senior year of wrestling, I started realizing, I was thinking to myself, I didn't want to let people down if I didn't do it, and like I knew I was good, and everyone loved to watch me and everything. And I'm a people pleaser. I love making people happy.
I love that.
I was just like, and I wanted to play football in college. That's what I wanted to do, but it wasn't worth it at the end of the day.
Sure.
It was going to end, and I didn't want to put my body through all that distress. And going against grown men, I'm 5'8", 160. I don't think it would have worked out, even though I probably had the skill set, not like the body type for that. And wrestling, love-hate relationship, like I mentioned earlier. I just had a kind of deep talk with parents, coaches, and everything, and I'm like, I've got to do what's going to make myself happy.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's about you.
And not everyone else. I mean, college, it's going to help college get paid for, but at the end of the day, I just want to do what's going to make myself happy, because I know for a fact I would have been depressed if I went to college to wrestle, because I was falling into that kind of thing in wrestling, because I couldn't do a lot of things I wanted to do in wrestling.
Couldn't eat Thanksgiving meals.
I know. Yeah, that's part of it, but that's not all of it. Sure. I mean, I've been doing it for so long, 13 to 15 years. That's a long time in my life. And I will miss it. That's inevitable. I'm going to miss it. I already miss it.
Sure.
Because, it's inevitable, but it's time to hang up the shoes.
Time for a new chapter.
Well, and I tell you, you know what? It's funny to hear you say that, and I'll tell you why. Every time I watched you, you look like a kid that the wrestling mat was your playground. You loved every second of being out there. That's what you look like, right? That was the appearance, right? And maybe it's because you were so good at it, right? And you're like, that guy makes it look easy. It looks like it's so much fun. But I do get it. I mean, there is no sport, in my view, no sport that is so physically and mentally demanding as wrestling. It's an amazing sport.
And I'm going to say this as well. Being top tier is very stressful.
Sure.
I felt like I had to win. And that's what kind of, it put a lot of stress on my shoulders, because I felt like I had to win for my community, my family, my coaches, everything. And if I didn't win a championship, I don't know what I would have been like. I don't know, and all that stress and everything builds up in someone. It builds up, and it makes you not kind of want to do that thing anymore.
Well, it takes the joy out of it.
It also makes you a better person at the end of the day, too.
Well, and it also sounds like it taught you at a young age that how to manage expectations.
Yes.
Because you deal with that, outside of just sports. But you deal with people putting so many expectations on you and realizing it's about what I want to do and what's best for me.
Yeah.
And in this conversation, it sounds like, you've learned that, okay, maybe people expect me to go do this, but that's not what's best for me to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something else, which is the right attitude to have.
So attending Pitt State.
Yeah.
Going to start there in the fall. What's your major going to be? What's your future look like as far as Pitt State's concerned?
Okay, so I visited Pitt State back in the fall, and I kind of fell in love with it. It was kind of a high school, vibey school, I liked it. Really good business program. That's what I'm going to school for, business/finance.
Awesome.
My goal job is to be a financial advisor.
Awesome.
And I am in with the bank right now, Agent Bank, awesome people. I have great mentors, Tyler Bice, Keegan Miller. They're awesome mentors for me. They lead me into the right direction. And if I ever doubt anything, decision making or anything, I can always call them, ask them what to do in that situation. And it's a blessing, really, because they have the best interests for me in their heart, and it's just going to steer me into it's going to make me excel in life so much better, more, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that's tremendous. And again, those mentors are hard to find.
It is,
especially ones that, like you say, have your best interest at heart. That's super good.
We have a fun ending segment that we do with all of our guests. You have gotten lucky enough to do our true or false segment. So I'm going to read you some true or false questions, and you just answer them to the best of your ability.
Okay.
True or false? The average man can run 8 miles an hour.
I was going off what I can do, but I'm going to say false.
That is true.
What?
The average man. Now you'd get a speeding ticket.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe.
True or false? Turnip greens are America's most hated vegetable.
I'm not good at guessing. I'm just gonna say true.
That is true.
Okay.
Turnip greens. I think radishes were like 3 on the list, which surprised me. I'm
be.
a radish fan.
And it should be higher on the list, probably.
So this was a question Brad wrote in here for you.
Oh.
You gave up, true or false, you gave up 10 points your junior year
In wrestling?
in wrestling.
I'm gonna go with true.
According to our information,
Yeah, it could be wrong.
which we could be
I don't
mistaken,
even know.
but according to our information, you gave up 7 points
I heard that.
your entire junior
I don't know
year.
if that's right or not, but that's
But
what I
that's
heard.
that's impressive. if
That is,
that's accurate.
I mean,
Probably.
come on, think about that.
Yeah.
7
'cause
points the entire year.
My dad and I would talk before tournaments, and he'd be like, "No one scores when you do that." I'd be like, "Okay." And then some of the points were cuts.
Right,
I'd
right.
Give him a point.
Right.
And that surprises me. I don't even know that.
Yeah, I don't,
Yeah,
I
7.
don't know for sure, but that's what we
Yeah.
heard.
Now, this is the last one, and we've hit on this one. I think you know the answer. True or false, you had 2,200 rushing yards your junior year in football.
Rushing yards.
Is that what I said?
It said wrestling yards is what it
Oh,
sounded
yeah,
like.
rushing
Rushing
yards.
I'm gonna say true, but I think it's false.
It's false. You had
Yeah,
2407
Yeah.
is what Max
24,
Preps had
yeah,
you at.
24, yeah.
2407.
That's,
That's a bunch of yards.
yeah.
I surprised myself in that.
Well, like I say, when we played Lincoln that year,
I had, I think, 440 something, 460 something, and
Yeah.
I scored 6 touchdowns.
yeah, it was. I was at that game and I was like,
The week before,
are they
we
not
played
going to change
Colton,
up? Right.
And I had like 300 and something.
Right.
5 or 4 touchdowns.
And you're like, they didn't watch that game?
Right. Well, that's what I thought. No, they're not going to change up anything. They're going to go at this stock and let you, because it was amazing to me. They would stop him on first down, maybe, and then the next, you were out the back door, and I was like, whoop, they didn't stop him then. But yeah, and again, great job by your offensive line.
I know,
Great,
I know.
yeah, those guys.
We didn't have the biggest, but we worked with what we had, and
Yep.
that's what matters, you know.
And
that's
did a great job.
Yeah,
of it.
they did, and Coach Webb works with them a lot, and they drill technique in their head. Even if you're not the biggest, baddest out there, you can still have technique, and that will go so far in
Absolutely,
any sport.
absolutely. That what really is the key, right?
Fundamentals.
You were talking about wrestling is that you may not have been the strongest guy in the circle, but yet your technique
Oh yeah.
took you over the top. So,
Yeah.
but Tailgate TV wants to thank Brendin Patrick for being here with us today. We appreciate it. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. You're a great young man. I hope you do great things. I know you will, because again, that drive and determination. And Tailgate TV would also like to thank our sponsor, Sonic, for sponsoring this portion of Tailgate TV.
CNS Graphics is happy to once again be serving Butler and surrounding areas. We are back and ready to serve you. We specialize in poster-worthy sport edits, but can help assist you in any of your graphic design needs. Find us on Facebook today, or call or text Cody at 479-385-1120 and let us create a custom graphic that you can cherish for a lifetime. And remember, your graphics deserve to be cool and stylish.
Welcome back to Tailgate TV. We are honored. We have my good friend, Chris Lahm, who has 35 plus years of coaching experience, the last 15 or so at my alma mater, Ozark Christian College. And last year, he may not tell you this, doesn't like to talk about himself, but he was inducted into the NCCAA Hall of Fame. Chris, we're glad to have you join us today.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here and good to see you again, Cody.
Absolutely. So Ozark, it's not too far of a drive from us here at Butler. You're about an hour and a half south in Joplin. Can you talk a little bit about what makes playing at Ozark so different than any other school? Like, what do you think is so attractive about being an ambassador?
Cody, that's a great question. I've been here almost 20 years now, and I continue to ask that question. How a school that only has ministry degrees continues to draw 600-700 students. They've done a great job with staying on their mission They don't waver from their mission. They have a great constituent base, alumni that continue to support the college. They're financially stable. They have no campus indebtedness, which is huge. They've got money to cover expenses. But I just think it's the relationships that they have here continues to draw students in. It's a great place for students to get started. A lot of them don't stay for 4 years, but they get a year or two under their belt and then move on.
Well, and I think that's what's awesome. You hit on it. And as a graduate from there, we unashamedly say Ozark is a Jesus school. But you go there for that. But while you're there, you're able to put together some good basketball teams too. And that always is what amazes me, is in doing that, you're still able to get athletes to play ball for you.
Yeah, I've been really fortunate to get the athletes that have come here. And even when I was up in Nebraska, the athletes that came there to play, just great kids. We get our bad apples. They don't last full season, or if they last the season, they don't get back a second season unless they change a little bit. But it's a ministry that we try to do to help young people out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Y'all were 23-12 last year. And I noticed, just kind of skimming through some information, you have a young man on your team from Hawaii. And I was going to say, as a sideline, if you need help recruiting in Hawaii sometime, be glad to go with you. We, Cody and I, we'll clear up our schedule to do that. But I think that's awesome, because I noticed a lot of young men from Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, but yet even New Mexico, Hawaii, Oregon, places like that. So your recruiting is pretty far-reaching, seems like.
And I'm not going to take a lot of credit for that. Our recruiting is generally by people in our churches. They'll find us. The young man from Hawaii just kind of found us. I did not go over there and recruit him. I thought it was interesting. This summer we had over 400 people come through our basketball camps. And our senior high boys camp, we had players from Florida and California that came out to the basketball camp. I asked the gentleman from Florida, I said, how did you find us? He goes, I just researched summer basketball camps and brought my son out here. He's looking at Christian colleges and just had a great time. So I really don't travel a lot in the recruiting. We can't give scholarships to people. So we get what we can get. And I think the school sells itself.
Yeah, well, and that's, one thing they drill into you at Ozark, the sun never sets on our alumni. You talk about, the churches and the alumni that are able to, and I think that speaks to how good of an experience people get at the college, because then when you leave, you're still promoting it. You're still pushing people. When I see kids all the time that are looking for somewhere to go, I'm like, hey, Ozark's a great place to go. And you have people all around the world that are doing that and pushing people through. And some of them happen to be talented athletes as well.
And I'll tell you, this is so totally off of the subject, but it is. And I coached my daughter's basketball team when she was younger, and we came down to Ozark for a girls' camp, and that's been probably 8-9 years ago, something like that. And the girls really enjoyed it. They learned a lot of things. They had a good time, and that was a really fun experience. And I was really appreciative of you all putting on those camps. I thought that was really, really good.
Yeah, we enjoy doing them.
So here in a few minutes, we're going to have a gentleman from Rich Hill come on our podcast. Magal is actually going to be joining your team next year. Can you tell us a little bit about what caught your eye about Magal and just kind of what that recruiting process was like?
Well, Magal came to our basketball camp. He didn't make it a year ago, but the year before that, he was at the basketball camp, and he caught our eye as just somebody who's very long,
absolutely
talented, has a dad who's a minister, once again, in one of our churches, and kind of just stayed in touch with him, and then he showed some interest. And then that kind of started the process of staying in touch with him. We went and watched him play and talked to him about possibly coming to Ozark. I think he's going to help us out a lot. He's going to have I think his learning curve is going to be really steep this year. I think he is just going to move once he gets at this level. He played some. He was at our senior high boys camp working, and he played some, and just very impressive against some of the college guys that we had here. on how well he can handle the ball and shoot it, and rebound. He's going to have to learn how to play a little more physical than what he had to play at Rich Hill or any high school anymore. I mean, the college game is just a little more physical than the high school game, but I think Magal is going to have a great career here at Ozark.
Well, a little more physical, but also it's a little quicker. You know, you see that a lot. Kids that maybe they were the fastest kid at their high school, and then they transition to the college level, and they're not the fast. They're still fast, but they're not the fastest kid anymore. So that always seems to kind of be a transition.
Yes, and the game is just quicker just because of the shot clock.
Correct. Right. You know, and I know we've talked about that a little bit this year. That was put up for a vote in high school here in Missouri, and it wasn't implemented, but I think they're trying to get that in.
I think it'll be,
but it will benefit, I think, the college coaches as well, because there won't be, as far as that goes, that much of a change between high school and college, or at least they'll gear up toward that. So, in speaking about Magal, again, quality kid, and all the things you said about him are absolutely accurate. He's long, athletic. So, where do you see him kind of short term and long term for your program?
Short term, I see him coming in here and just trying to establish himself and where he would fit in our system. I mean, I could see him as a 3, maybe even a 4 at times for what we do in our offense. He gets out and runs the floor so well, even handles the basketball so well. And I think this year he'll just have to establish himself, but I look for him to really do some good things. Sophomore year and then junior year, I think he's really going to stand out.
Well, that was one thing we discussed too. You know, that first year is always a learning year. That first year is always just get your feet wet, figure out the pace, figure out how to play at this level. And then if you stick with it, and I've seen, go through your program, I've seen so many kids that when they stick it out and they play until I think you got a senior on your team now who's turned into a heck of a ball player. And it's because they've stuck it out and they've let the game come to them, and they've taken the coaching. And yeah, I could see Magal doing that tremendously if he sticks it out for 3-4 years.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we have a fun ending segment that we like to do with all of our guests. And so we have for you prepared some over-under questions. So I'm going to give you some numbers, and you're going to tell me if the correct answer is over or under.
All right.
So last year, did Ozark score over or under 85 points per game?
I believe we were just under that.
You were just over that. You were 86.7 and ranked 5th.
All right.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. You saved over or under 5 technical fouls by telling me to be quiet during my time at Ozark.
That would be under.
I think it was 4. I counted them up. I think there was 4 occasions.
4 too many. Yeah. 4 times too many.
In your career, you have over or under 600 wins?
I should know. That should be over.
Yeah, it's over. I didn't know the number. I didn't know if you would know the number, but I knew it was over 600.
I just had to look this up last year for the Hall of Fame thing, and I think it was 630, 643, 642, and then with the 23 this year is like 665.
That's impressive.
That is impressive.
So final question. We were talking a little bit about how great you and Don both are for Ozark. I know you guys are instrumental in kind of my foundation when I was there and have been for, I think, a lot of people. And when we were talking about that, Brad asked me, he said, how long have you guys been married? And I said, I don't know. It's just a long time. So over or under, you and Don have been married for 100 years.
I know that one. That's under.
Okay. Do you know the number?
It's 43 on July 18th, the day after we get back from Poland.
Okay.
Good for you guys. That's outstanding. Congratulations on that.
Absolutely.
And Tailgate TV, I'd like to thank Coach Lahm for being here. We appreciate you so much. I really enjoyed it. And I know Magal's going to enjoy playing for you. And, man, I'm excited to see him down there. I think he's going to, I'm like you, there's a lot of potential in that young man. I think he's going to reach it with your coaching. So we appreciate you being on. Tailgate TV would also like to thank O3 Customs for this sponsoring this portion on Tailgate TV.
As people, we are in need first and foremost of a Savior. Though not nearly as much as a Savior, we are in need of community. Community to lift us up, to rejoice alongside, to weep with, and to be ministered to in whatever walk of life we are in. At Emmanuel Baptist Church, we are not the perfect church for the perfect person, but we are the church of the perfect Lamb of God, Jesus Christ. Verse by verse, book by book preaching, contemporary worship, and multiple generations under one roof. We hope you'll join us sometime at Emmanuel Baptist Church, 10 o'clock Sunday mornings, 801 West Dakota Street, Butler.
Welcome back to Tailgate TV, where we have a friend of the show, Magal Chol-Case, and he is back-to-back District Player of the Year from Rich Hill, and he's going on to do some big things, and we're going to talk about that here a little bit later in the show, kind of what his future holds, but we're just really happy to have him in studio right now talking with us.
We are. We're really excited about it. This young man did such a good job. We were very fortunate to watch you a few times, and obviously down at the Prepcast station down at Rich Hill, the Tiger TV down there, they do a great job of bringing games.
Yeah, they do.
Enjoyed watching you a great deal. I could see your development over the years. It was so much fun to watch. Now we go ahead.
I was going to say we enjoyed it so much. Me and Brad watch a lot of basketball for Prepcast. We cover a lot of basketball. We don't go to a lot of basketball games that we aren't covering. We get tired of it.
Yeah.
But that there was a game this year that we weren't covering, and we still said we want to go watch them. And it was it was for the conference title. It was when Archie came down to Rich Hill in the dome down there, and we said we want to go watch that game. We want to go see what Magal's got. We want to go see what Archie's bringing down, and that ended up being a fun game.
It was something.
Y'all won by. I think there was a little bit of some tension there early on, and then you guys blew them out. I don't remember the total score, but I think you won by 20 or so points, and that was a fun game to watch.
That was fun.
I'm sure it was a fun game to play in.
It definitely was. It was pretty hyped the whole game. I mean, everybody was everywhere. There was a couple things we could have done better, but that's like every game. So overall, it was a great game. I had fun. So
good. And we saw, again, trying to do a little bit of investigative reporting here, but on something we saw you're 6'3", but now you've told us you're 6'4", so you've grown a little bit,
yes,
right?
Sir.
That's good. That's important.
I'm still not convinced. I'm still debating that.
Yeah, you look taller than 6'4", you really do. But so what did you enjoy about playing at Rich Hill with your teammates and your coaching and things like that? And I know you play summer ball as well.
Yep. So I played summer ball, or I just did summer league for Rich Hill, and that was I don't know, community in Rich Hill it's pretty good. I like it a lot. I love them. Everybody's rooting for everyone. Let's see, I had 3 different head coaches through my high school career. So and
that's 4 years in high school.
Yeah, that's 4 years. So yes, majority, but overall, awesome. I loved Rich Hill. So. Yep, I wish I had one more year, but I can't be a super senior. So
Right.
It doesn't work in high school.
Right. Well, I know they really enjoyed having you there. I know everybody I've talked to down there is just, glowing over you. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, and even outside of basketball, just a stand-up guy, what you do around there. And of course, on the basketball court, just being able to be dominant. And, Rich Hill had some success. Which we're going to get into here in a little bit, but just watching you guys play, it was fun.
It was a great time.
And I kind of took a year off for being around the area, but I watched you, younger, your freshman, your sophomore season, and then when we came back this year to just watch the growth. You've really matured as a basketball player. You've really grown and blossomed into a really talented player. Is there something that kind of just clicked? Like what helped that transition and that growth?
Man, I don't know. I think freshman year I was I don't know. I didn't know a whole lot. Like I didn't know where I wanted to play. I didn't know what position I didn't want to play. I didn't know how I wanted to play. But I didn't know one thing. I wanted to get rebounds. So that's kind of what got me playing time, just getting rebounds and finding my outlet. I think that's what kind of worked my way up to where I ended up being as a senior. But most of all, I think it was just, I don't know, the heart I had for basketball, winning. People don't like losing, but you have to learn how to lose, and I think that's one thing that kind of helped quite a bit. So learning how to lose and then learning from that. So, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So last year, Rich Hill went 21-8. undefeated conference champions, Appleton City tournament champions, and district champions. So, boy, what a great year that was. I mean, 21-8 is phenomenal, and all those championships under your belt. What do you think you did to contribute to the success of the Rich Hill Tigers last year?
I definitely think standing up as a leader. You know, I mean, we only had 2 seniors on the team last year, and I had to step up and be one of the leaders we had. So I know we had like a couple other leaders. When I was having an off night, there's other kids that step in, like Dalen Black, you know, all those guys. And I think just like a young core we had, the sophomore group we had, they were pretty good. They did their thing, they played their roles. So I feel like everybody played their roles. So that's one thing that helped a lot.
Well, it looked like the chemistry was great. I mean, it looked like you guys all genuinely just enjoy each other and enjoy playing with each other. I mean, it looks like you're all just friends on and off the court.
Exactly, yep. So, yeah, we go to a buddy's house and we have our little pickup games and play runs, you know, and everybody gets competitive, gets chirpy. But at the end of the day, I don't know if you heard the quote, on the court we're not friends, but off the court we're friends. That's kind of how it was. You know, everybody went at each other. Nobody was scared to back down from anybody. So I think that's just one thing that helped. And then just playing with each other all the time, that's what kind of helped the chemistry quite a bit. But, yep.
And one night that I thought was special, that I saw a lot about and heard a lot about, was you had a night this year where you scored your 1,000th career point.
Yep.
I believe it was on senior night.
Yep.
And it was on your birthday.
It was.
And I know I talked to you leading up to that. You were like, you know, man, I'm hoping to get my 1,000th point this night. It's going to be, you know, great. Can you talk a little bit just about that experience and about how that felt?
Man, so it was a conference game. It was midway, and I was 38 points away from getting my 1,000 points. And, you know, I've never had a breakout game like I did, and 38 points was kind of up there.
That's a lot of points.
I think the most I had before that was 26 or 28. So I was, like, kind of preparing for the next game, but I was trying to keep telling myself, like, don't look too far ahead, because I know a lot of people that had their 1,000 points that talk to me. They're like, don't worry about trying to get your 1,000 points. It'll come. When you start worrying about it, that's when you start scoring less. And I don't know, I stepped on the court and warm-up started. I couldn't hit a thing. I was airballing. I was like, man, this is a rough night. But, you know, and then all the tension between, like, if I was going to win Courtworm King or not. And
which you did, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, so that as well.
Yep.
Add that to the list of accomplishments for the night.
Yeah, so I think it was like halftime. I had 22 points.
I was going to say it was you had over 20, because I think we didn't go to that game, but we watched it on Prepcast, and we were like, he's already got 22.
Yeah, and I came out knocking down from deep, and I was feeling myself, and every 5 points or so, I'd go look at my dad, and I'd ask him how many points I had, and he'd kind of like mumble it to me, and he's like, "You're at this many points left." And actually, my mom and dad were not prepared at all for me to get my 1,000 points that night, so they had to ask somebody real quick to go get my 1,000 point sign, because they didn't expect to get it that night, which no one really.
So they didn't even have it there with them.
Nope.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So and then I ended up winning Courtworm King at halftime, and I came back and everybody's like, "You're having a game, and this is why I love my guys at Rich Hill, because, you know, they just kept giving me the ball, giving me the ball. They kept saying, "Score, score, score." You know, this is your night, and I ended up having 39. So
awesome.
It was awesome. I should have went home and bought a lottery ticket or something. That was a fun game.
Yeah, that's awesome. That way you couldn't
couldn't
ask for anything better.
And you didn't miss. I mean, we were watching that.
Yeah.
I think we caught the second quarter on, and just especially you came out of halftime and you were so close, and it just you could tell, you could taste it, and you were going for it.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I was just like calm. Every shot I took, I just went back, played defense, tried to do the same thing over and over and over. So, you know, it was fun, but yeah. I had a friend from Midway, and he didn't think I was talking to him before that game, and I was like, "You should let me get my 1,000 points," jokingly. He's like, "Oh no, we can't do that." And I was just giving him a hard time since, like, "Yeah, I got my 1,000 points, but against you guys."
He didn't tell you that was his birthday present to you? They let you do that for your birthday?
Oh no, he didn't tell me that part.
That's fun. That's a great experience. So, in looking ahead, going down to Ozark Christian College and playing basketball, you're committed to them.
Yes, sir.
I know, we've spoke with Coach Lahm, and he's excited about having you down there.
Yeah.
And so, what are you feeling about college? as far as basketball is concerned, obviously the
Yes, sir.
studying side's a whole nother issue. But as far as college basketball, excited about it? A little bit of
Oh yeah, I'm super excited. You know, I went to a basketball camp last week, their high school basketball camp, and I helped with that, and that was a blast. You know, there's some of the guys some of the freshmen I'll be like hanging out with the most, and all the upperclassmen just kind of welcomed all the younger guys in. You know, I love Coach Lahm, I love Coach Harns. You know, they're cool guys, but yeah, I'm super excited. I'm pumped.
good. That's awesome.
What do you think?
Great experience.
Absolutely. What do you think? Is there certain things that you can say I've done at Rich Hill or Rich Hill's done for me that has prepared me to transition to this college basketball setting? I mean, do you feel equipped? What do you feel has gotten you prepared for it?
Definitely, you know, our head coach, I always told him I wanted to play college basketball, and he'd always ask me where, and he'd always push me a little harder than some of the other guys, you know, saying like, if this is your goal, we got to get that done. And you know, just like people around town kind of supporting me and stuff, and working outside of the gym, running track has definitely helped me a lot. My track coach, Damon Green, but I think so just kind of.
Which we hear a lot. That's not the first name that's not the first time on the podcast Damon's name came up.
That's right.
We've heard some good things about him down there at what he's doing in Rich Hill.
Yeah, good program down there for the track program. They've
Definitely, yep.
done a good job.
So what led you to Ozark? What was kind of now if I understand this right, you're doing Southern as well, correct?
Yep. So dual credits. So I'll start out at Ozark the first couple of years, and I'll kind of work my way into Missouri Southern. So
Okay.
yep.
What was kind of the leading factor that drove you to Ozark? What made you think that's where I want to be playing basketball, or that's where I want to be?
So it's not too far from home. You know, Joplin's not too far, and I think it was after freshman year that summer. Yeah, I went to a basketball camp there, and I kind of really had I had a great time there. I loved the coaching staff there, and I kind of popped out that time there at that camp too. So I just kind of fell in love with it from the jump. But
Just love at first sight.
That's
huh?
important.
That's where we're going to be. Well, we do have a fun little ending segment
Okay.
where we're going to get you with some questions.
So what are you going to be studying down there? I'm just curious.
Okay, great question.
Oh, so I'm going to get my Bible degree at Ozark Christian College.
Okay.
And then Missouri Southern, I want to be a dental hygienist.
Really? That's
Yep,
awesome. Good
that's
for
the
you.
plan for now.
That'll be great. That'll be awesome.
We have some would you rather questions.
Okay.
So we've got 4 of them here, and we want to know what you would rather do. Would you rather win a dunk contest or win a 3-point contest?
Huh. Man. I'd say dunk contest.
Okay.
Yeah,
I could
dunk
see you doing
contest,
either.
Definitely dunk contest.
Yeah.
Would you rather match up against a guard or a post?
Post. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely a post. They're slower.
Okay.
That's what I was going to say, right?
Oh, here was one Brad wanted to ask.
Okay. I'll remember it. Go ahead.
Would you rather, being a Rich Hill boy, would you rather eat at Swope's or eat at home with Mama's cooking?
Oh.
So you can't do that.
That's why we did it.
Am I going to get you in trouble here?
No, at home. Definitely at home.
Okay.
My mom, she knows what she's doing. So
Okay.
does my dad, so they both know what they're doing.
All right. That's good. Good answer.
Yep.
Good answer.
So, last question.
But sometimes I'll meet you at Swope's down there sometimes.
Okay. All right.
Brad loves going there for the milkshakes.
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
You know, it's by the time you get home, they're nice and you could actually drink them. They're not, those concrete ones, which are so good. They last forever. Would you rather block a shot or take a charge? That's a hard one.
Freshman year, definitely take a charge.
Okay.
I love charges, and still I'll take a charge, but I think I'm gonna go block.
Okay.
Yeah, block.
Well, there's something about both of those that just gets you hyped. I mean, either way, there's not a wrong answer.
Exactly.
Well, we're going to thank y'all for watching this segment of Tailgate TV. We're thankful that Magal came on and talked to us.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Had a great time. And we also want to thank the Butler Chamber of Commerce for bringing you this segment of Tailgate TV.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Tailgate TV. Once again, it is, as always, one of our favorite segments where me and Brad just get to pick some of our favorite things. This is Tailgate Picks. Brad.
Yes.
Anticipation's waiting.
Yes.
Building.
Yes.
As we're waiting.
Yes.
What are we picking?
Tonight, we are going to be picking our favorite, not best basketball players. Really important distinction there. But our favorite basketball players, someone we really enjoyed watching, someone we enjoyed the way they play the game, that kind of thing. But now, this is all NBA. We're not doing college right now. We might do that in a later segment. But right now, this is just NBA players, our favorite basketball players.
Yes, and I don't know that we've discussed this very much, so anxious to give you some heck about your picks, as I'm sure there's going to be some in there I don't like.
Well,
that's why you're picking your favorite.
You would be wrong if you said that. I'm kidding. But yeah, that's why, right? That's why it's your favorites.
So I'll jump into it.
Okay.
My pick number 3.
So we're going 3-1. Okay, here we go.
Pick number 3. Arkansas feller, Scottie Pippen. Best player the Bulls have ever had.
I agree.
And yeah, I picked Scottie because just so fun to watch. Fun to watch him play the Batman role
or the Robin role.
Thank you for the correction.
Okay.
But as he was debatably the second best player in the league,
I think that's probably at that point when both Jordan and him were in their prime.
Correct.
There wasn't too many other superstars. Obviously, Barkley was there, but he was a little bit older, but right around that same time. The bad boys in Detroit had kind of drifted away with age. Patrick Ewing and the Knicks kind of were there, but not really tons.
Well,
and then it was just a sprinkling around the area. Obviously, you had the Lakers were okay at that point, but not great. That youth age had caught up with them as well. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the decision by him to stay in Chicago
so big
when he could have been the best player on any other team.
Correct.
That he was at.
Correct.
But he decided to stick on the one team with the one guy. You know, we talk about super teams and all that jazz. We're not going to get into all that debate at the moment.
Correct.
But for him to be like, I'm going to stick with Jordan and play in this shadow when he didn't have to do that.
That's correct.
And, of course, the fact that he is an Arkansas boy, went to University of Central Arkansas, played basketball there. I think we have some Butler alumni that are currently playing sports there, so shout out to them. But, yeah, so Pippen, number 3 for me.
I think that's a good pick. I like Scottie Pippen. I'm like you. You go to another team that maybe had better components around him. Mm-hmm. He might have been able to dethrone Jordan for one of his 6 championships.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that.
But obviously he didn't, and history is what it is. 6 world championships, I should say.
Brendin Patrick on our minds. We're talking state champions here.
But that would have been so for me.
Yes, sir. What do you got? Number 3.
I was trying to think of all the things that this guy did.
It looks like you're trying to justify it.
No. I was trying to think of how many things this guy has that why I would even place him 3rd, right, on my list.
Okay.
But again, it's about what you enjoy.
Absolutely.
One of the most unique shots in the game.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Undefendable. You could not, and this guy could hit it from 15 foot. He could hit it from 2 foot.
Right hand, left hand.
Right, exactly. Right-handed, left-handed, 7'2", which makes this shot even more amazing. Yeah. Undefeated through college, and he could only play at that time. Freshmen could not play varsity in college, so he played his sophomore, junior, senior year undefeated. Lou Alcindor was his name in college. Changed it later to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Again, went to different places. Obviously, I know him more when I grew up as a Laker. won world championships with the Lakers in that time, and so much fun to watch him. Again, I got to only see him when he was kind of later, a little bit longer in the tooth, as they say. Mm-hmm. But man, was that guy money. When he got the ball, you just started to run to the other end.
Yeah,
because he was going. It was incredible.
The skyhook was and that's one thing. You see very few kids emulate that skyhook, but the kids that you do see, I had a kid. He was actually my roommate one semester in college at Ozark. Shout out Ozark again. But he was actually my roommate at Ozark, and he had a skyhook. And we would play intramurals together. He didn't play on the team or whatnot, but he'd play in intramurals. You couldn't guard it. And when you're 7'2" and you're an NBA caliber talent and you can do that shot, it's stupid.
And maybe a little bit close to my father. His nickname in high school, because it's in the yearbook, Jim Hook Davis.
Do you have that yearbook?
My mom does.
If we can find it, we're going to scan that page. It's going to be on your screen.
My dad was, my dad's 6'4".
Okay.
Not short by any stretch. Yeah. Not super tall, obviously not 7'2", but both hands. And when I was in high school, we play, orneriness, just playing around, and he'd go to that thing, and I'm either hand, and he was so good at it.
If you don't stop
so good at it. And it was just, and again, my dad probably hadn't played basketball in 20 years, and he comes right out and starts doing it, and I'm like, what in the world? How do you not fall off that bike at some point, right? So amazing.
My number 2 pick, and this, we talk about favorite players, and even though I do think that this individual, in my opinion, is the most offensively, not even offensive, the most dominant force in NBA history. But I also think he's just one of the funnest dudes to watch. Even out, this translates outside of basketball.
Okay.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay.
That, to watch TNT games right now.
Fun.
That's the best show on TV. I don't care if you're talking sitcoms, game shows. I mean, watching Shaq and Ernie and those guys.
That's not who I thought you were going to say. And I was going to say, well, that's really a pick for another time as the most overrated NBA players. But go ahead.
I like overrated players.
Yes, you do.
I think you know.
Yes, you do.
But no, Shaq and just his stories, his character, just who he is as a person. Not only is he one of my favorite basketball players, just one of my favorite personalities. To hear, stories of him interacting with his kids and how his daughter came up to him and, hey, Dad, we're rich. And said, we're not rich, sugar. I'm rich. You're not. But just the way he holds the record for the biggest purchase in Walmart history. When I think he got traded to, was it Orlando, or he got traded somewhere and he went and purchased his whole apartment with a couple $100,000 worth of stuff from Walmart in one trip. Just the stories and personality.
I don't know how you spend $100,000 in Walmart. That takes some doing.
You're Shaquille O'Neal.
No, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about how you find $100,000 worth of.
I think he's saying furniture, TVs, everything. Just furnished.
He must have went to a super Walmart.
And I promise you that his apartment probably wasn't a small apartment to furnish.
It could have been.
He could fit it.
I mean, his hind end can't sit in a normal size room.
But yeah,
his feet will hit the other wall. He's a big guy.
Shaquille O'Neal, my number 2 pick.
I like it. My number 2 pick. Big rivals with Kareem and the Lakers back in the 80s.
Okay.
And again,
you like him more than Kareem, obviously.
I do like him more than Kareem for a couple of reasons. One, as I said, I saw Kareem later in his career. I didn't see him through his prime. This guy I saw in his prime. I saw him play college basketball, saw him in the pros. Uncanny, the ability he had to anticipate the basketball, and then his shooting ability was phenomenal. You'll hear all kinds of things you see on different tweets or different things.
I think I know where you're going now. It took me a minute to get there.
That talk about him as a player and how other guys would laugh at him because he would tell you where he was going to shoot, and then he'd go do it.
Going now, I think this guy wore green, didn't he?
The legend, as they call him, the legend, Larry Bird.
Absolutely. Now that would be the one that we don't always agree on stuff.
No,
especially on picks.
Right.
That would be one I wouldn't mind having on my list.
Larry to me was so phenomenal because. And again, I was a huge Laker fan, lived in California at the time, huge Laker fan, loved him. Chick Hearn out there who did the play-by-play was phenomenal. And that Laker team was so much fun to watch. But you knew
not as fun as Larry though.
You knew at the end of it that
Larry was going to be Larry
in the final, and you were going to have to play well to beat that Celtics team, and Larry Bird obviously being the leader of that team.
And the left-handed game. I mean,
that's crazy. Think about the fact that he even thought that, hey, long road trip on this game, I'm going to shoot every shot left-handed and score 40. Then what he did,
and he would do that before the road trips. He would say, "I'm gonna average 35.5. I'm gonna average this road trip."
Yeah,
and then do it.
Crazy,
and it's ridiculous. That's a good pick. That's a good pick. I'm with that. That makes me excited and anxious to see your one.
Okay,
my one. We're gonna stay in green.
Okay. New green.
New green.
Yeah.
But we're going to go, and this is where we caveat that this is not, these aren't the players we think are the best in the world.
Right. No,
these aren't top three skills.
Right.
And this for me, I guess I'll prelude it with this.
Okay.
You talked about some of your favorites and ones you watched in their prime.
Right.
So Pippen for me, never watched Pippen play growing up.
Okay.
I mean, I watched rerun, but
of course.
He didn't play for me.
I got you.
Shaq was kind of like you with Akeem. Saw him at the end.
Right. Oh, Kareem. Yeah.
Kareem. Yeah, my bad. Olajuwon went different. But yeah, I saw him at the end of his career.
Okay.
Didn't ever watch, with the Lakers. That was kind of magic. Didn't see that very much.
Okay.
This guy watched in his prime. Won championships for the Green in his prime.
Okay.
Rajon Rondo.
Okay.
And the way I've always been a facilitator.
Okay.
I've always enjoyed moving the basketball.
Okay.
And the way that there was multiple playoffs games, he'd have 20, 24, 22, 21 assists.
Right.
On their road to a finals.
Right.
And he wasn't always the best player on the team. That's why they had Garnett and Pierce and Allen that were knocking down the shots. But the way that he would get them the basketball and the way he would move with the basketball, it was beautiful to watch.
I like it.
So Rajon Rondo is my number one favorite basketball player of all time.
Heard you have a jersey.
I was gonna wear it, but our show, our show fashion designer would not let me. She went into my closet and said, "You're not wearing that."
Good decision on her part.
So yeah, we'll have to have a talk. We're actually taking applications for new fashion advisors to Tailgate TV. If you would let me wear a Celtics jersey,
you're already out.
Then you are at the top of the list.
So my number one, and again, don't think he's the greatest player.
Number two, who's your number one?
But you talked about facilitators.
Okay.
I can think of a lot.
Is this a rival of Larry? Is this where you're going?
Maybe, but there's a lot of facilitators in basketball that I really enjoy watching.
Yeah.
Young man that played for Sacramento with Chris Webber, and I cannot think of that young man's name. He would throw the ball behind his back and then hit it with his elbow. I can't think of that kid's name, but that guy was phenomenal. So good, so much fun to watch. But again, because of my age, when I really started paying attention seriously to basketball, Irvin Magic Johnson was the best point guard / small forward / power forward / never a point guard or never a off guard, never a shooting guard.
No.
Center. His rookie year, Kareem got hurt. He had to play center in a game. They won that game with a hook shot, by the way.
I wonder where you learned that.
I don't know, but I'm going to tell you, Magic Johnson, so enjoy. And you talk about personalities. Magic has a personality. He could sell.
Never watched him play, live, of course,
Right.
seen reruns, seen highlights.
Right.
But do know him as a personality.
Yeah.
Know him as an analyst and love him. Now, I do have to say, I don't like that you only have one green pick and you got 2 LA picks.
Well, that's
we gotta do
the
something
way I
like that.
work. So
Yeah, I don't.
because I wasn't going to pick Danny Ainge.
When
I wasn't gonna
I better add my Shaq pick. Let's say anything except the LA Shaq.
Well, I was going to tell you, Magic Johnson, for me, that guy could sell heating pads in the Bahamas. That guy makes you like him and still stick a dagger in you when he needed to. And then obviously cut his career short with
all his issues.
Yeah, the issues that he had, the HIV and other things. But I'm going to tell you, that man was so good for the game of basketball. And that's really what I liked about Larry and Magic, that rivalry and that play against each other, because they elevated their games against each other. They could smoke everybody else, but boy, when they played each other, those were great games.
And I think, and without getting too far in depth about NBA basketball, because that's not what we're trying to do here.
Right.
But I think that when basketball, the NBA is at its peak, is when the Lakers and the Celtics are good, because you see that that was the times I remember falling in love with basketball was when Rondo and Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett were playing for the Celtics, and you had Kobe Bryant, whoever was with him at the time, with the Celtics or with the Lakers, going against each other. And you look throughout history, that's always kind of the height of basketball, is when those two clubs are going against each other.
Yeah, and you have that East Coast, West Coast, kind of thing, right? Everybody on the East Coast and the Eastern Conference can do that. Western Conference roots for the Lakers for the most part. And it's a lot more fun when you have those rivalries. What I enjoyed about the rivalry the most was in that time, there were 6 guys on both those teams that were quality players.
You didn't have 3-star players,
Right.
and then a bunch of G leaguers,
Right. Or a bunch of guys that stand on the outside and don't throw with the basketball.
Oh, we got 3-and-D guys, and that's it.
Right.
No, but this will do it for this edition of Tailgate TV. We're so glad I feel like we had some awesome guests on this show, so we want to thank everybody that came on and talked with us. We want to thank everybody who watched us. We also want to say that we have some really fun episodes coming up. Not quite going to tease that just yet, but man, make sure you're staying tuned, because we have some fun, different stuff we're going to throw at you. And if you want to be on the Tailgate team, if you want to get involved in this, if you want to sponsor this, if you want to come on the podcast, if you got some ideas for us, if you want to be a part of the Tailgate, if you want to join us, let us know. Well, we also have some advertising packages. We also want to thank our sponsors that have been hooking us up. Sonic from the very beginning, Mid-America from the very beginning, CNS Graphics, Butler Chamber of Commerce, Emmanuel Baptist Church, O3 Customs, and I don't know, I'm probably forgetting people here, Brad, but we have really been blessed with the community coming around us, supporting us, and we just want to thank y'all for that, and we'll catch you next time on Tailgate TV.
Dancing with the radio up, yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. It's good to be back in a tailgate downtown. It's good to be back in a tailgate downtown. Dancing with the radio up, yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. It's good to be back in a tailgate downtown. Good to be back in a tailgate downtown. It's good to be back in a tailgate downtown. It's good to be back.